Hi there, it's Katrin from 3Ps. Thank you for joining me. This video is about success in your training and also success more broadly. How do you get it? How do you define it? How can you make sure that you achieve what you set out to achieve, either in terms of your training goals or more broadly in life? And I'm a personal trainer, so I clearly am in the success business because I'm about helping clients achieve what they need to achieve. I have my own business, multiple businesses, so I'm also about my own personal goals and achieving those. So I approach this from two angles in terms of what works for me and also what works for my clients. So in terms of this session, I wanted to concentrate on a particular writer because I think he has good things to say about success. And this writer is a guy called Paul Arden, who's no longer alive, but he was for many years the creative director of an advertising agency called Saatchi & Saatchi, who have been one of the most successful advertising agencies globally. And he was the creative director for a period when they were just sort of becoming, rising in their ascendancy and becoming very, very successful. So he knows quite a lot about success. And what I like about Paul Arden is because he's a creative director, it's all about visuals for him. So in his books, and I'll probably put up on the screen, probably to here, the details of the two books I'm going to refer to. His books are very visual. So he uses a lot of photography, a lot of imagery. He's an advertising man after all, but also because he knows that imagery is very motivational. So the first image I wanted to show you from one of his books, and this book is one that's called, it's got a great title. It's called It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be. So it's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be. The first image is a fantastic image. I'll give you the strap line to the image first, and then we'll show you the image. The strap line is energy. It's 75% of the job. If you haven't got it, be nice. That's the point. If you haven't got energy, you might as well just go with the flow and be bland because you're never going to achieve. But energy is 75% of the job. And let me just show you the image because it's a fantastic image. Okay. All right. This is obviously an image of a storm. Okay. So if I have clients who are just finding it difficult to find their mojo, find their, their energy center, I'll often give them this book and say, read it. It's got some great stuff in here about how you motivate yourself to succeed, how you motivate to stretch yourself. So that's the first image in this book that I wanted to show. And what I think that shows is that you've got to have the oomph to get up and go. Now, because one thing with fitness is that if you are training, you should actually have more energy, not less. You should actually have more ability to achieve in your life. And also, if you do stick to a training program and see progress, it will give you confidence in the rest of your life that you can achieve other things. So fitness is about fitness, but it's also about more broadly about how you approach life. Okay, then the next next image I wanted to show you is about what happens when bad things happen. What happens when things don't go according to plan. I don't have an image for this, but I just wanted to explain a particular image I saw that I really liked. And it was an image about success. And the image, first of all, said, this is what people think success looks like. And it was an image of an arrow going diagonally up, with a point at the top, okay, just a straight line arrow. And it says, this is what people think success looks like, okay? And then the second image said, this is what success is really like. And whereas the first image had been a straight arrow with a point, the second image was like this. It was a complete mess, and then with a little bit of an arrow at the end. And what it was saying was, there's a whole load of challenge in the middle before you get to success. It's never a straight road. No one wakes up one morning and is just instantly a success. There's a lot of fight and tenacity required to become a success. In anything you do, there will be layers of work and graft that you have to do. There's a famous saying that says, a large chunk of success is just turning up. And I think that's really, really true. If you want to be a success, it will, people who are overnight successes are never overnight successes. There's always other things that have gone on. There may be a lot of graft behind the scenes that you just don't see. So don't believe it when you hear about people who are overnight successes, because I don't think they exist. I think everyone to be a success has to work really, really hard. And it's that squiggle before you get to the success arrow at the top, okay? So the piece from this Paul Arden book I wanted to show you, the image is about when bad things happen. And I'll read the text first and then I'll show you the image, okay? So the heading is, getting fired can be a positive career move. Being fired often means that you are at odds with your company. It means the job isn't right for you. I have been fired 5 times and each time my career took a step forward. Being fired used to be a negative on your CV or resume. Now some headhunters find it an asset because it can show initiative. Now, I think Paul Arden was deliberately being slightly impish here. You might not put on your CV, I was fired from a job, but the fact that you have been fired is often a wake up or an impetus to move forward. Let me show you the image, and I'm going to just talk about the whole issue around, you know, particularly being fired. Okay, this is the image. Okay, isn't that great? So you've got, it's a negative here and it's a positive there. So that's the simple image that he's used. Okay, so let's talk about being fired. In another life, I was very senior in the City of London, and I worked with international teams, and I was often the person that had to counsel people out of businesses. So I would be the person who would be sitting opposite someone who, you know, as Paul Arden said, they were often, the issue was they're just not a good fit, or they were no longer a good fit with the company, and they were having difficulties because actually they were not a good fit, and maybe they hadn't even admitted that to themselves. And often my job would be to sit opposite them and say, you know, you're really not enjoying this job anymore. And they would, you know, 9 times out of 10 they go, oh yes I am. And I go, no you're not. I can see from the way you hold yourself, I can see from what time you come in the morning, I can see from your, you know, your face, your skin, everything tells me this is just not something you're enjoying. And you know, we need to address that, and we need to look at, you know, whether we need to shift within the company, or whether actually this is something, this company is no longer right for you. Now you may think that's a sort of, you know, a silver tongue way to exit people. It genuinely wasn't. And I could also say that I came from a position of knowledge on that, because I got fired from a job a long time ago when I was very junior, and I got fired with no notice, literally on a Friday night, and I found myself, you know, on the Saturday morning with no job, and I had to go out and find another job. And it was the first and last time I ever was passive in a job, ever, because it taught me that in any job, number one, you've always got to be looking for your next role, and number two, that no one owes you a job, and you have got to take all the knowledge you can from your current employment, but have a game plan about where you're going longer term. Now, when I did get fired, because they fired me without notice, they had to pay me severance, and that severance was I used as a deposit for my first flat in the West End of London. And so I moved from the outskirts of London, or the sort of inner city part of London, into the very glamorous West End, and that was funded by the severance. So had I not been sacked, I would never have had the deposit I needed to go and get this fantastic pad which I got in central London, because I got a new job within, I think it was within 36 hours. That's how I've worked very hard to do that, but I got a job fast, and I used that money, thank you very much, to move on with my life and move where I wanted to with my life. So going back to the Paul Arden image, is it a negative or is it a positive you get fired? I'm with Paul Arden on this. It's often a positive to get fired, and I think it's really important that you see it in that way. Okay, and don't expect your career just to go on a straight line. Squiggles will happen in the meantime. Okay, so that's the first Paul Arden book, which I really like. And then the second Paul Arden book is called Whatever You Think, Think the Opposite. Okay, and again, it's on a similar vein. There's lots of imagery in this book, and there are a couple of images that I wanted to show you. And the first one, which is headed, let me read the text first. It's headed, Do It, Then Fix It As You Go. So it's called Do It, Then Fix It As You Go. It says, too many people spend too much time trying to perfect something before they actually do it. Instead of waiting for perfection, run with what you've got and fix it as you go. And then there's a picture here, okay? And I think that is just so right. Is that, you know, as I said, you know, a large proportion of success is just turning up. Another large proportion of success is just getting going, is taking the first step. Really, really, you know, everyone can be successful in their armchair in theory, but you've got to be willing to actually act. And that's really important in terms of success. And that applies both in terms of your fitness and in terms of other parts of your life. So if you have, you committed yourself to a fitness regime, you do actually need to put some gym kit on and either do a workout at home or go to, get outside or go to a gym. It's that, that is the reality. You have to act. And on that point, one thing I often say to clients, because they'll say to me, I'm going to start my regime next week or next month or after my birthday or after Christmas or after Thanksgiving. And I always say to them, there is never a good time to start a new habit. You will always find a reason to put this off. There's always another Monday morning. The point is, time is ticking. Do not wait for the perfect time. Go with the imperfect time. As Paul Arden said, that you go with imperfection. You can fix things as you go along the way. Don't expect a perfect goodbye to your old eating habits and your old sofa surfing habits. Just get going, get started, turn up and act. Okay. And then the last page that I wanted to show from this, actually there's one more page after, where the other page, last page with this substantial message on it is about your curriculum vitae, so your CV, and it's called Tips for Beginners, and it says the CV tip: get the very best company in your chosen field on your CV. Be a runner, work for free if necessary. Your future employers will be impressed. And then it says the PG tip, which is a joke, because obviously PG tips is a form of tea as well. The PG tip: make tea. Make it often, make it willingly. Influential people like it. It will give them a good opinion of you, and they will want to help you in return. And then there's just a nice picture of a tea and biscuits. The point he's trying to make here is be prepared to start at the bottom and work your way up. That applies to fitness and to everything else in life. So, when you first go to the gym, you're going to probably start at a really low level. Start at the bottom and work your way up. Start with light weights and work your way up. Start with simpler exercise and work your way up. Don't think you're going to go straight onto the Olympic bar when you're starting your weightlifting. Have some humility. Accept the fact you have to start at the bottom. This isn't about trying to slow you down. It's about starting at the right stage for you and understanding that you need to work your way towards where you want to get to. But if you don't start, if you don't turn up, you never will. And just a story on this, when I got my very first job that I really wanted, I'd had various jobs as, as a young, as a Saturday kid and then as a student, but my first proper paying job that I really, really wanted, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew where, broadly speaking, which industry I wanted to work in, but the difficulty was getting in. And I got an interview with a small business that was in the right field for me, and I went along to the interview, and it was a female boss, a Canadian, and I walked into her office, and I felt immediately at home, and I just felt everything said to me, this is the right place for me. But I knew that it'd be very competitive. So we sat down opposite each other and we had the interview, and I was obviously, doing my best to show her that I'd be, a responsible, valuable member of her team. And then at the right moment, I just went with my gut and I said to her, you're really, really busy and you probably can't afford a huge amount of time to interview. What if you offered me this job right now? I want to come and work here. I will start with you next Monday and you won't have to interview any more people. You can get back to your business. So what if you offered me this job now? And she looked at me and she smiled and she paused and then she said, okay then. And I started that Monday, and it was the start of my then career, this first job that I really, really wanted. And that all came out of being willing to stick my neck out, being willing to act. It wasn't the perfect time. She could have said no, but she didn't. And it got me going on the road. So, success is about getting through some of this difficulty, getting to where you want to get to. In a training context, when I started lifting weights and started, I moved from being a runner in particular to lifting weights. That was because I had an injury. I had been running and I'd ripped some cartilage in one of my hips quite seriously. And I started lifting weights because I wanted to try and stabilise my joints. It was all about getting back to running. So that was the basis on which I started. And when I first went to the gym to lift weights, I actually couldn't even stand on one leg because one of my hips was so inflamed. So I was like an ostrich or a flamingo. And I was having to, I deliberately was shifting my weight onto one side. But I got to the gym and I started lifting, and it was the first step. I had turned up, I had acted, and I enjoyed it so much, and I felt so much better than running because I was building my body up, not breaking it down. That was the start of my career in terms of pumping iron, and I've never looked back. So if you are starting a fitness regime, don't worry about, is it the right Monday? Have you got an injury? Have you got a birthday coming up? Just start, get to the gym, get yourself a trainer, or go for a walk or a run in the park, whatever, but just turn up and get started. There is never a perfect time. So that's all I wanted to say in relation to success. I hope it's been helpful. Do give me a comment below, also like it or otherwise, depending on what you think. If you do like it, share it. It's always nice to reach more people. I hope this has been a chance for you to have a think about things. And my name is Catherine Turner, I'm a personal trainer. This is the 3Ps channel. It's been a pleasure to have you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.